In 1816, a young curate arrived at his first posting in a small village near Salzburg. Joseph Moore had lived through turbulent times. The Napoleonic Wars had torn Austria apart.
In 1816, just as Moore was beginning his first job, things settled down with the defeat of Napoleon. Now, these wars had completely devastated this part of Europe. 500,000 Austrians had died. And with this in mind, Moore was inspired to write a poem. His motivation comes out in the ending of the first verse. It concludes with the words, "Sleep in heavenly peace."
Stille Nacht, heilige Nacht, alles schläft einsam wach, nur das traute Hochheilig.
It was a simple, heartfelt response to the recent conflict, but it would become one of the most popular carols in the world.
Schlaf in himmlischer Ruhe, schlaf in himmlischer Ruhe.
Joseph Moore went on to become the parish priest here in Oberndorf.
But he hadn't forgotten about his poem. And the story goes that on Christmas Eve, 1818, Moore walked across town to find the local church organist, Mr. Gruber. He wanted to ask Gruber to write a tune to go with his words. But here's the challenging part. He wanted it done that day, so that they could perform it that night.
This is the Silent Night Chapel. It was built to commemorate the first performance of the carol, which was accompanied by guitar at midnight mass.
What have you brought to show me?
This is the oldest written record of Silent Night.
Melody by
Franz Xaver Gruber. And text from Joseph Moore in 1816. That's his Christmas song.
Christmas song.
Weihnachtslied.
Is it true, this story of how the music for Silent Night was written in one afternoon?
We think that's exactly what happened. It is quite plausible because the song itself, it's not too complicated. The chord progression is quite simple.
What can you tell me about the first performance?
Well, according to the eyewitness, Mr. Gruber himself, he was the bass, and Joseph Moore, his friend, the priest, sang the top line of the song.
On Christmas Eve?
On Christmas Eve,
1818. Why do you think that they chose the guitar? That's not an instrument that I associate with the church.
That's where the guitar actually comes in. It's a song for the people, from the people. It was an instrument that you would find in taverns and bars, and I think that's what made it connect to the people up, because the guitar was something that they knew from outside of the church.
Now, this song, Silent Night, has made this little town famous all over the whole world. Why do you think that the song works globally?
The simplicity is what translates into any language and into any culture, and that's what works with pop songs in general.
You would describe it as a pop song?
Exactly. I think it's in the top rank of the Christmas charts.
Silent Night went around the world. It's been translated into more than 230 different languages. And its place in history was secured during the First World War. It happened in northern France, on Christmas Eve, 1914.
By this time, the Germans and the British had dug themselves into their trenches, about a stone's throw apart. Some soldiers' families had sent them tiny little Christmas trees made out of pipe cleaners. They had these in the trenches, they lit candles, they'd done everything they could to make themselves feel a bit better. One man who was there in the trenches that night was called Albert Moran.
It was a Christmas card, Christmas Eve. There was a white, beautiful moonlight, frost on the ground, almost white everywhere. And round about, I think about 7 or 8 in the evening, we heard this singing, a lot of commotion, and we saw some lights. I don't know what they were, some lights. And later, we heard them singing, Still a Silent Night. Still a Night, Silent Night. I shall never forget it. It's one of the highlights of my life, absolutely, to see them. I thought, what a beautiful tune.
And then Albert and the British soldiers sang back. It turned into an impromptu carol service. Across northern France and Belgium, it's been estimated that around 100,000 soldiers took part in this spontaneous Christmas truce. Some soldiers from both sides climbed out of the trenches and met up in the middle. They sang carols, some gave each other Christmas presents, things like tobacco, some even played football, while others took the opportunity to bury the bodies of their comrades who'd fallen in no man's land. Of course, the truce didn't last for long, but the carols had worked their magic. Just for a little while, they'd brought comfort and comradeship and a little bit of peace.